All right, Glenn, we are going live in 3, 2, 1. We are live on both formats now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Glenn McGordy, and I'm a member of the UAW's Monitors election team. As you know, in accordance with the results of the UAW referendum held in the fall of 2021, this year, for the first time, the international officers of the UAW will be elected through union-wide direct elections in which UAW members will cast votes directly for candidates nominated by delegates to the UAW's recent constitutional convention and vetted by the Monitor. In light of the referendum result and consistent with the consent decree issued by the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, the Monitor, working in consultation with the UAW, has developed official rules which were issued in May of 2022. The direct election will take place this fall. Ballots will be mailed, begin being mailed in mid-October, and votes will be counted the week after Thanksgiving. For more information about the upcoming election, please visit the Monitor's website at www.uawmonitor.com/elections. With all that said, we would like to welcome you officially to the candidate forum for the position of Vice President, which will last approximately 2 hours. There are 3 Vice President positions, and members will therefore be able to vote for 3 Vice Presidential candidates. This is the second of 3 forums. The forum for presidential candidates will be held this coming Thursday, September 22nd. These forums will be conducted in accordance with the candidates forum rules and are being held to promote the fair, honest, open, and informed participation of the union membership in the election of these international officers. Recordings of these forums will be available and posted to the Monitor's website. I would now like to pause and introduce the moderator for these candidate forums, Stephen Greenhouse, an American labor and workplace journalist and a senior fellow at the Century Foundation. Mr. Greenhouse was a reporter for the New York Times from 1983 to 2014 and covered labor and workplace for 19 years there. He also served as a business and economics reporter and a foreign correspondent. He is an author of 2 books, Beaten Down, Worked Up, The Past, Present, and Future of American Labor, and The Big Squeeze, Tough Times for the American Worker. Mr. Greenhouse is an independent moderator and has no affiliation with the UAW or the Monitor. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn over this process to Mr. Greenhouse.
Thank you, Glenn. Welcome, everybody, to this evening's forum for UAW vice presidential candidates. I'm honored to moderate this forum for the UAW, which has long been one of the nation's greatest labor unions. I'd like to start with the forum rules, which are published to the candidates and are available on the Monitor's website. As you can see, only the candidates, myself, and the members of the Monitor's team appear on screen, and the comment and chat function have been disabled. To start out, each candidate will have 3 minutes to make an opening statement. The order of these opening statements was randomly determined by the Monitor. After opening statements, I will begin directing questions to the candidates. I decided on these questions independent of both the UAW and the Monitor. I did, however, consider many questions that were submitted during the past week by UAW members to the Monitor's hotline. While time has run out to submit questions for this forum, members may suggest questions for the upcoming presidential forum next Thursday by following the instructions on the Monitor's website. The candidate to whom I address a question will have up to 90 seconds to respond. The other candidates will then have up to 45 seconds to address that response, the original question or both. Finally, the candidate to whom the question was originally posed will have up to 30 seconds for rebuttal. I have direction to grant the candidate additional time. If any of the candidates want to respond to a candidate's answer to my question, please raise your hand using the Zoom app raise hand function. It might not be easy for me to see one's hand on the Zoom screen, but I will try. Given time constraints, all candidates might not be able to respond to each answer. When not speaking, all candidates must mute their microphones. Candidates are prohibited from interrupting other speakers and are only permitted to unmute when I indicate that it is their time to speak. If a candidate wants additional time, they should use the Zoom hand raise functions. A timekeeper will display the remaining time available for candidates to speak. Once a candidate runs out of time, I will provide that a candidate must wrap up in the next 10 seconds. After that, the candidate's microphone will be automatically muted. After the Q&A portion, each candidate will have the opportunity to present a 3-minute closing statement. We're looking forward to having a thoughtful discussion tonight about issues of relevance to the UAW membership. To do that, it is important that candidates follow the timing rules, not interrupt or speak over each other, and be respectful. If folks are unable to do that, I may limit or suspend a candidate's speaking time to maintain order. I should note that as moderator, I'm committed to being scrupulously neutral as between the candidates, not taking sides or showing preferences. As determined by lot, the monitor's office says the speaking order for opening and closing statements shall be the following: Rich Letourneau first, Tim Bressler second, Mike Booth third, Rich Boyer fourth, Brian Zapp fifth, Sharon Bell sixth, Chuck Browning seventh, and Mike Turner eighth. Rich Letourneau will now give the first opening statement. You have 3 minutes. Rich, unmute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Good afternoon, everybody. I feel like I'm at a late night union meeting with a much tougher crowd. I get to go first, so here it is. My name is Rich Letourneau. I'm running for Vice President of the International Union. My history is pretty lengthy. I'm currently the bargaining chairman at Fort Wayne Assembly, Local 2209. We have about 4,300 members. We build the Silverado and the Sierras. We got a pretty deep membership, a great membership. I was lucky to land here. I hired in General Motors in 1981, in Local 95 in Janesville, Wisconsin. I broke time for time and got a new date of 1984. I worked in chassis line until the General Motors plant announced that it may be closing in Janesville, Wisconsin. Fear of losing my job, several hundred of us, actually a couple thousand of us, transferred here in May of 1987. That same year, I ran for alternate committeeman in 1987 as well. I won, and I've been in office ever since. I've seen a lot in the last 36 years in office. We are entering some seriously historic times right now. The one man, one vote. Although it's not new in concept, it's new for us. The one man, one vote was around during the New Direction. I lived through all that stuff, survived every election during that time frame, but it was pretty brutal back then in the 80s. But now, the one man, one vote is here. It's no longer a concept, it's here. The delegate structure is no longer in existence. I've been elected most of my adult life by a great membership, a membership that is changing daily. And for those who are not familiar with the election process anymore, the membership has seriously changed. They want one man, one vote. And I believe I'm one man, one vote that can make a change. And that is why I'm running. The new generation does not support slates. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. They want their vote to be their vote. And that's what one man, one vote does. They don't want to be told who to vote for anymore. So we have an opportunity right now as a membership to speak up. This is your chance to speak that you want changes in the leadership. You want experienced leadership, people that know what they're doing. I am running on my own merits and my own convictions. I'm not running with a slate, and I would like your support for UAW Vice President. And if you have the opportunity,
Please wrap up.
want to check my website. It is Rich Letourneau for VP.com. You'll find that
Thank
Under
you.
the categories-
Thank you, Ms. Letourneau. Now it's Tim Bressler has 3 minutes for his introductory statement. Tim, please turn on your mic.
Perfect. I'm Tim Bressler, and I'm running for UAW Vice President. I'm a UAW member for 37 years, a local 3039. My wife and I have been married for 30 years, and she is also a member of the UAW. Upon my first election in 1989, representing the active and retired members has become a lifelong passion. For 33 years, from committee person to chief of staff to President Ray Curry, I have served our members. By my 30th birthday, I won 3 local elections, was elected by acclamation to the UAW 1996 Chrysler bargaining negotiations. And in 97, I was appointed international staff by President Stephen Yokas. In my 25 years on staff, I've done first agreements. I've led strikes. I fought and testified over illegal lockouts. I processed all legally required termination notifications for bargaining. I implemented a bargaining plan to protect striking members from being permanently replaced at Navistar. I led a 3-year offensive bargaining plan that resolved in a $525 million settlement to secure UAW MAC retirees' health care. I testified in a jury trial when Volvo sued its retirees to terminate their health care. The jury, with my input, rewarded our retirees and upheld their benefits. As Vice President Holyfield's top administrative assistant, I found myself in a very precarious position. As many things happened, I had no choice. I went and spoke to President Bob King. Among other things we discussed was Holyfield's choice of hotels, UAW logo merchandise supplied by his fiance made overseas, and mandatory not work-related after-work activities. When $365,000 disappeared from Holyfield's charity account, I reported it. Upon Holyfield emptied another account worth $24,000, I reported it. I want it to be clear to all the members. I freely testified in front of a grand jury against Holyfield, while others chose to utilize him as a hero at his funeral. I am the only administrative staff member from Holyfield's administration that has never been charged nor indicted. In order to enhance our members' quality of life and financial stability, we must bargain. And I have the experience and knowledge to accomplish this. I have worked extensively on the reforms and policies that the IEB has adopted. I will continue to work to move reforms forward. I believe in empowering the standing committees. There's nothing more honorable than fostering
Please wrap up. We have 10 seconds.
Yeah. Anyway, the standing committees, I stand in support. Brothers and sisters, this is why I'm running for your support in this historic election. Thank you.
Mike Booth, it's your turn to give your statement.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mike Booth, candidate for International UAW Vice President. I've been a proud member of the UAW for 32 years, elected 1-term Chief Steward, 2 terms President of UAW Local 961. To say there's a trust issue in the current leadership of the UAW is an understatement. As president of UAW Local 961, we did sue both FCA and International UAW for the nefarious actions and dirty deeds. The company wished to rid itself of the axle business contrary to contractual obligations. UAW International leadership, who was corrupt, sided with the company. The UAW leadership damaged all members of the UAW as well as future members. That is a fact. Corruption, greed, and gluttony have plagued the international UAW. Substandard contracts, stagnant wages versus inflation, tiers, convictions of our top leadership in 17 open investigations, 3 contracts and good economies that slip by without recovering our losses. One example is the FCA Master Agreement, which expanded supplemental employee language. Same problem in other agreements. Some locations have addressed these big issues, but only because the membership rejected the company's offer. Our current president of the UAW not only excluded retirees from running for office in this election, he wanted to exclude them from voting, which was overruled by the UAW Monitor's office. We can hang our heads in gloom and say we've been wronged, or we can move forward in returning to the original tenets of the UAW. In order to restore trust, we need a forensic audit. We need to stop covering up the corruption, rip the Band-Aid off, and expose the dirty deeds and move forward. We need to secure good contracts that enrich the lives of our membership. Retirees need to be cared for. They left us with a solid base for our union. We need to thank them as well as take care of them. We're all going to be a retiree one day. Whether we are higher education or auto, IPS or TOP, Ag Imp, aerospace, casino, our membership is diverse. Our fight is the same. As members, we have the same issues: low pay, work-life balance, workplace harassment, the desire to have a secure retirement. There's not a one-size-fits-all cure for our union. The simple and most realistic answer is that we have to start somewhere. We have to show them we can unite the membership, not just say we can. Actions are always louder than words. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Boyer, your introductory statement, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd first like to say thank you to everybody for taking the time out of their busy schedule and come to this forum. I'd like to thank the membership and all the candidates that are out there, because this is a daunting task for all of us. But I'd like to say one thing that nobody said so far. This is about our membership. This is about the people we represent and how, in my opinion, they've been wronged over the years. And all my travels that I've been going through all the different locals, the first thing everybody talks about is the working conditions and the corruption that has been going on. Now, a little bit about myself. My name is Rich Boyer. I'm originally out of Local 12 in Toledo, Ohio. I left Toledo, Ohio in 1992, came up to Detroit Axle. At Detroit Axle, I was elected a chief steward of skilled trades. After one term as chief steward of skilled trades, I was elected the local union president. I was the president of Detroit Axle for 2 terms. I lost an election. During that election, the Marysville Axle plant was negotiated. I came back into office after the Marysville Axle plant, and we did everything to try to stop that, because we knew that was a spun off, that plant was going to be spun off. And we knew that we weren't going to get any help from the International Union, or specifically General Holyfield. In the end of the day, we have an obligation to the men and women we represent, as well as the retirees. With a 2-tier system, with the corruption that's going on, with the lack of planning, with the concessions we've given up and still lost plants over the years, it makes one wonder, who really has the skill to negotiate these agreements? Is the skill that some of these gentlemen say they possess, is it really what this membership needs? We've given up and given up and given up. How much more can we give up? How much more can we give up before there's nothing left? You know, Rich Boyer has 37 years. Rich Boyer can ride off into the sunset, but we have to leave this better than we got it. We have to understand that the people behind us, we have a responsibility to them to take care of them and make things better. You know, we're going to have a long debate here, guys, and everybody's going to have differences of opinion and direction. But one thing we have to understand and agree on, the most important thing in this debate and everything is the membership and the job security that we have to give them. If we don't sustain job security, we can bicker back and forth for days and months and years. We have to understand the job security. We have to understand the EVs. We can point out everybody's misgivings or faults, but at the end of the day, it's about the people we represent. And my thought is that I represent everybody, whether it be ag ed, whether it be salary bargaining unit, whether it be hourly, whether it be high ed, whether it be TOP, it doesn't matter. They are union members. We've got nurses in our union now. Does everybody understand what's at stake? These aren't jobs that are going to be easy. These jobs aren't going to be easy at all. When we go into the next round of bargaining, it's probably going to be the toughest we've ever seen. And we have to stand tall and stay strong together. If we don't stand tall, strong together, we're in trouble. Rich Boyer is somebody that's always stood tall. I fought against General. I fought against all of them. I've had numerous battles. Thank you, Steve. I see you.
Your time is 10 more seconds, please.
I'm good, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Zapp, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Zapp, and I'm running for Vice President of the International UAW. Currently, I'm Administrative Assistant for the UAW General Motors and Gaming departments. I am a second-generation UAW member. My father, Fred, 46 years at UAW Local 602. Personally, I'm a 37-year UAW member. I've worked at several General Motors locations, including Saturn Corporation. And I am very proud to be a skilled trades member at UAW Local 160, the General Motors Tech Center. I was elected the youngest chairperson in the history of Local 1810. I've been on the international UAW staff since the year 2000. I've done 3 local agreements, 12 supplier agreements, 6 national agreements. Currently in this department, we have multiple ongoing bargaining in gaming locations. We are also in the middle of an organizing drive at Lordstown Ultium. We will be successful in Lordstown. My record shows I'm not afraid of the companies. In 2008, I led a 32-day strike at Local 602 in Lansing. In 2019, I led a 40-day national strike at General Motors, the second longest in that company's history. Make no mistake, leading the UAW is a tremendous responsibility. The men and women of the UAW and their families depend on us. This is serious business. It requires serious people with serious national bargaining background. The Curry Solidarity team has that background. Together, we've been through a lot. Several corrupt leaders stole. They were kicked out of the UAW. They went to prison. They should have went to prison longer. They stole from you. They stole from me. They stole from my father. I take it personally. You have an absolute commitment from me and the Curry team. We will restore integrity to the UAW. This country is in the middle of a resurgence in labor. Every sector is poised for major gains. The Curry team has the diversity across every sector. When we are elected, we will have the most balanced board in UAW history. And it comes at the right time for us to bargain successfully. I believe companies must invest in the United States, and we've done that. Since 2019, we've helped secure over $13 billion in investment into UAW General Motors facilities. No other team can say that. I believe our members deserve unprecedented wage increases, secure health care, cost of living protections, equal pay for equal work, health and safety in the workplace, dignity in retirement. Together with you, the Curry Solidarity team will deliver. I humbly and I respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you. Sharon Bell, your statement, please.
Wait a minute. Good afternoon, sisters and brothers of the UAW. I'm very excited to be here today. Very excited. For the first time, I get to address the membership. I drive a high-low. I work at Flint Assembly Truck and Bus in Flint, Michigan. And I'm a member of local UAW Local 598. Hello, everybody. Stephanie Riley nominated me at the convention, at the recent convention that we had, because she believed in me. And there's many people that have met me through all the 4 plants that I've gone to. I've been transferred. I will let you know now some of my background. Before I do, I want to say this. I will stand up for this membership. Those that know me know I will. I've passed out over 100,000 flyers. I don't know if all of you've gotten my flyers, but they will be coming. Here's my phone number for everyone that has a question about me after this forum. My phone number for every member is 313-680-980. I'm sorry, someone distracted me. 313-680-9800. My email address is SharonBellGMUAW@yahoo.com. It is very important that you're able to contact me, because I'm the candidate that comes straight from the plant floor. I know what the members want, and I'm here to stand up for you. And one of the things is we want to eliminate tiers, stop corruption. By doing that, we need good leadership. So you want to make sure you vote. One man, one vote made it possible for you to vote good leadership. Please vote. I need to have everyone, fight for everyone to have pensions for all, retirees, and all workers in this UAW. Gaming, nurses, everyone. IPS has been left out. You all know that. The cleaning group has been left out. Everyone knows that work at the plants. The leadership needs to come down and get to know what the people need. And it's time that they do that. I will come down. So my background, I worked at 4 different plants, 2 closed plants.
Ms. Bell, time to wrap up. 10 more seconds.
Fine. Okay, I'll talk to you in the closing statement. I'm ready to get into the questions. Let's get ready for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck Browning, your introductory statement, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Browning. I'm the International UAW Vice President and Director of the UAW Ford Department, the UAW Agricultural Implement Workers Department, which includes Caterpillar, John Deere, and Case New Holland. I'm the Director of the TOP Department, which has direct bargaining responsibility for UAW Local 6000, the Michigan State workers, as well as thousands of members that work in the healthcare insurance industry. The TOP department also serves as a resource for all of the national bargaining within the UAW for TOP. And I'm also the director of the UAW chaplaincy department. I became a member of UAW Local 3000 in 1987 when I hired into the Mazda plant in Flat Rock, Michigan. While I served in the local union for UAW Local 3000, I was elected as a committee person, a bargaining committee person, and twice elected as a UAW bargaining chairperson. During my time as UAW bargaining chairperson, the Mazda workers transitioned to UAW Ford workers covered under the UAW Ford National Agreement. In 2000, I was appointed to international staff by then UAW President Stephen P. Jokic. I was assigned to the UAW Ford Department. While working in the UAW Ford Department, I was a UAW servicing rep for UAW Ford and Visteon. I was the coordinator of the UAW umpire department in the Ford Department. I was assistant director over servicing, and I served as an administrative assistant to the vice president. In 2010, I was assigned to the UAW president's office. I served in that office for 8 years, both as an administrative assistant and executive administrative assistant to 2 UAW international presidents. In 2018, I was elected by the delegates at the convention as the regional director of UAW Region 1A. And in 2021, due to a vacancy, left as our officers as a vice president due to Gerald Kareem retiring. I was elected by the International Executive Board in my current capacity as a vice president. I have 30 years experience in UAW leadership. 22 of those years are at the national level. I have 3 decades of bargaining experience specifically. During my 4+ years on the International Executive Board as both regional director and vice president, I've led 4 strikes.
Sorry, your time is up. Please wrap up.
Okay. I am a proud member of the Curry Solidarity Team, and I look forward to discussing issues of importance to our active and retired members in all sectors of our union.
Thank you. Mike Turner, last introductory statement, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Michael Turner, Mike Turner, 27-year auto union member, hired in Fort Wayne Assembly in 1995. They're with Rich, same local 2209. I'm running to more so a little bit different than what most other candidates have said. I'm an independent candidate. My goal is to make positive reforms for the membership. I understand people have these past experience, 20, 30 years. You know, my experience is nowhere near that. My experience is limited. Within my 27 years, I just spent a term as an alternate committeeman, and shop committeeman, a term as a delegate, term as an alternate delegate. Not a ton of, I guess, experience. But I see things in a broader picture than I think a lot of other people do. We went down a pathway for the last 3 decades of just not only stagnation, but actually culturally going backwards from what our union was founded on. And I wouldn't even stepped up beside and ran if I really believed the administrative caucus had genuine, ideas about implementing to better our union and bring the membership back on board where it's their union. It's not the administrative caucus union. Currently, that's not the process. And they could say they've made reforms, but to me, they haven't made any reforms. They've made reforms they've had to make, financially, because let's face it, the federal government got involved, but they've not made any kind of reforms that actually benefit the membership. The system that they've created over the last 3 decades has been total separation from the membership. Collective bargaining is the root of our union. That's the power of our union. And I understand, with the economy, you got plus and minuses depending on the economic times, but we have consistently gone backwards. And from the mid 2000s into the GM bankruptcy, I get that was the darkest hour. I was in office in that time. We had clauses that we were going to return everything we lost. And that never happened. It could have happened in 2015 easily. It could have happened in 2019 easily. That didn't happen. And beyond that, we have systems within our union that we rely on, not only collective bargaining. You have to rely on the grievance process. That's the only process you have to enforce collective bargaining, unless you go outside to, National Labor Relations Board. And if that process isn't fulfilled correctly, the next process is internal union appeals. Both those systems are broken. And the administrative caucus, unfortunately, they've created a structure where it's them against the membership. If the membership tries to, here's a good example. My first time as a delegate, I discovered the process of how the conventions ran. I was sick to my stomach. I never realized, I was naive. I never realized it. Here's the deal. This is the membership's resolutions that they put their heart and soul into, not just for the Constitutional Convention, but for the bargaining convention. This right here is
Mr. Turner, your time is up. 10 more seconds, please.
I'll wrap it up. I'm just saying, unfortunately, the administrative caucus, I do not see them having any genuine intent to actually make positive reforms for our membership. So I'm asking the membership for support. Please reach out to me and have discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your opening statements. So I will now pose a question to each of the 8 of you, one at a time. You have 90 seconds to answer, then others of you can respond to that response by raising your hand. I'm going to start by first posing a question to Tim Bressler about a hot subject. This question is from a UAW member. With every major automaker transitioning to an all-electric platform, and then within 10 or 15 years to autonomous vehicles, what is your plan to address the thousands of members who will lose their jobs due to less content being needed for these types of vehicles, as well as advances in artificial intelligence? And what is your plan, especially for those who work for the supplier plants who will be affected at a faster rate and unfortunately will not possess the skill sets needed for the type of work that'll be available in the future? Very, very smart members belonging to the UAW. Very good question.
That is a great question, Steve. And so we are already way out in the forefront on EV technology and what's coming down the EV pipeline. Our research department has already done deep studies on it. We're looking at the makeup of the electric engine to see where the castings are coming from, to see who is actually supplying these parts. We are out in the forefront of it in the fight over battery technology. We just had down in Region 2B an organizing card check at the battery plant. The batteries are going to be a major part, and we Ultium is at the Lordstown facility. We just had 80% of those workers down there sign cards. So we are out in the front of it. The other piece of it is on the supplier piece of it. We understand there's going to be significant changes. An internal combustion engine versus an electric car powered by a battery does not require all the components. Doesn't require exhaust, doesn't require a fuel line, fuel tank, etc. But we are looking at that as the total breakdown of an electronic vehicle, and as to see what parts are actually replacing the parts that are being eliminated. In order to have an argument, in order to present the UAW and represent our members, we have to understand what those products are, what the impact is going to be. You just can't run into this thing blind and expect to say, I'm going to negotiate X, Y, and Z without understanding what the impact actually to the membership. So that's what my plan would be to do, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, you have your hand up. You have 60 seconds to respond.
Yeah, Tim, I appreciate your comments. My concern is, in the past, I have 47 years. Jobs are grandfathered. The automobile workers need to understand where they stand. We have a current contract in place right now, to the 2019 contract. Why is the company bringing products and changing things in the middle of our contract? You need to be fighting for our jobs, the automobile workers. I need to hear a better understanding than that. That is not enough. I've looked on the website and I can see there is a plan. All our members are not aware of it. You're negotiating and allowing products to come in and changes with these
Sharon,
MOU.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Okay, Rich Boyer has his hand up.
Okay, my comment to that whole thing is this. First of all, we have to identify the people that are going to lose these jobs. So at the big table or the round table, they call it, the company had to have given us a 5-year plan. And in that 5-year plan, the administrative caucus or the leadership knows what's going to happen. Now, if the leadership's position is to negotiate $22 an hour jobs, what are we going to do with the people that are making $30 an hour? What's going to happen to them? Where are they going to go? If you're going to organize these jobs at these plants, and then you lose the jobs in Kokomo, you lose the jobs in Dundee, you lose the jobs in Trenton, what is your direction to take care of them people? I need to know that, because these are UAW members that have been inbred in this building forever. Our job isn't to worry about organizing people. Our job is to worry about taking care of the people we represent.
Thank you. Chuck Browning, you have your hand up.
Thank you. As Tim stated, there has been an immense amount of work identifying jobs and products and components to be brought in-house to the UAW master agreements at General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford. At Ford Motor Company, we are looking at inverters, we are looking at DC onboard chargers, we are looking at half shafts, we are looking at batteries themselves, e-axles, and we have started to bring some of this technology into our powertrain plants. There is work out there that can provide employment for our members. We have to aggressively pursue it. We have to understand what it is.
Time is up, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry. Mike Booth, you have your hand up.
Yeah, my question for Tim is, so you're saying that there's been a lot of research. Did you do this personally, or did you use the research department? Are you receiving the forms? Because just to say that, we have all this stuff, we understand it, but are you actively involved in that? And Chuck, he actually just made a comment that I find kind of questionable. He says, we are looking at all the technologies coming in. It's almost like you're sitting right next to management, seeing everything coming in. So gotta kind of question you on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Sapp, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Stephen. Tim referenced Altium, and we are active with Altium in process of organizing them. And I heard Sister Bell talk about what are we going to do for the various suppliers and so forth. Common bargaining across sectors. When we see growth in a assembly plant, it feathers its way out. She asked, what are we going to do at these other locations for auto workers today? We just announced in Marion over $500 million of investment, upgrading their stamping facilities to supply electrified vehicles. More things will be coming. We will continue to expand that $13 billion investment, protect auto workers, and impact the independent parts suppliers. It is going to happen in this country.
Thank you. Time is up. And Rich Letourneau, last response.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So this question is for the current administrative that's in office now. Believe me, I know how difficult it is to be across the bargaining table, and sometimes, you find yourself not reaching out to the membership on issues that you should. And I'm pertaining to the indirect labor jobs. I mean, we have lost indirect labor jobs out of my plant that had nothing to do with the signature of my bargaining committee and everything to do with the signature of the current administration. And I understand the Camaro agreement. We lost a lot of work bringing that Camaro back into the US. However, document 60 killed us. They took 3 lines out of my plant. It was our work from day one, and we've kept everything in-house since day one in that plant. Since I've been chairman, we've not lost material, quality, final process, any of those indirect labor jobs, sub-assembly jobs. And now the position is, hey, let's get rid of them because they are not like intense jobs in the line. So maybe they shouldn't warrant as much pay. That's what's going to kill our people.
Time's up. Thank you. So Tim Bressler, you get 30 seconds, quote, rebuttal time, unquote.
But to answer, Mike, your question, our research department is the one that's been pulling in the high detail of the new technology. That detail comes down to the people that are responsible to bargain. I have been working directly with research. I have been working directly with research and the IEB today. So yes, that material is done by the research department. It gets disseminated down, and we work on it as a team as to how to protect our members.
Thank you very much. Next question for Rich Boyer. Mr. Boyer, in your campaign statements, you say that you voted to reject tiers. For years, though, the big 3 automakers have dug in and wanted to preserve pay tiers. A question from a UAW member. Mr. Boyer, you pledged to end concessions and tiers. Besides stating that you will do it, please explain what you will do to end concessions and tiers. And what happens if the big 3 refuse to do that?
Steve, that's a good question. I'm glad that was asked. I expected that question, to be quite honest with you. The question I have for you, the membership, and you as well, Mr. Greenhouse, is what more can we give up in concessions? We have been giving up concessions since 2003. When we had a good contract, I knew we were locked in with government through 11 to 15, but in 15, the company was profitable. In 19, the company was profitable. We never went back after cost of living. We never went back after job security language. We never made sure that they brought product into our plants. We never did any of these things. During that time, we lost New Venture Gear, Huntsville, St. Louis, North and South, Detroit Axle, Mount Elliott, and McGraw Glass. Now, my question to the company is, if you can afford to pay your CEOs $21 million like you do with Stellantis, how do you expect me to take money out of my people's pockets? Now, tiers, let's talk about tiers. Tiers, anybody in this room, I dare any one of you to take the cut and pay that you're expecting these people to work for and to provide for their families. You take the first cut and then you expect me to ask them to keep tiers. You ask that. So what my point is this: when we go to the table, we have to stay strong. We got to learn to say no. We can't keep saying yes. We got to protect the people that elect us to take care of them. That's what we got to do.
Thank you. So I see that Rich Letourneau has his hand up, I believe. Was that from last time? Rich, you're on mute. You're on mute, Rich. I'll go to Brian Zapp. Brian.
Did you see my hand?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you,
Brian,
thank you.
you're on mute, Brian.
My apologies. The tier structure came into General Motors agreements in 2007. The 2019 agreement, we've eliminated that. All members who were hired between 2007 and all the way up to the national of 2019 will be at top rate by the conclusion of this agreement. So I think it makes sense for people to understand completely what they're talking about and not just say buzzwords. We've eliminated tiers at General Motors. Additionally, in the 2015 national agreement, all active employees, irrespective of what wage rates they're at, have the same healthcare plan. We've already accomplished much of that. We are not done. We will continue, but it's a process.
Thank you. Time's up. Sharon Bell, your response?
Yes, to everyone, you're moving too slow. The tiers need to be made whole quicker. You need to do much better. And Rick, I support what you said. We cannot say no, we will not. If you elect me to the membership, I will be standing up for no tiers. Bottom line, everyone needs to get paid. We do not work free. I'm sorry about all the concessions and all the concerns, but the workers must get paid. I will stand up with those who stand up for that. End of story.
Thank you. Chuck Browning, your response?
Yes, I'm the only candidate that has actually served as an international vice president. And the concessions and the question about what our administrative caucus, the Curry Solidarity Team will do, I bargained at John Deere. At John Deere, we reintroduced COLA. We negotiated 20% pay raises. We got retirees bonuses. We have addressed and actually have done it, not talked about it, not pointed out what the problems are. That negotiations was led by us, and we struck John Deere to get those gains. I am currently on strike at Case New Holland for the last 4.5 months, fighting for those members that deserve to get properly compensated, be able to retire with dignity, and get a fair standard of living.
Thank you. Time's up. Mike Turner, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're going back to Rich there. Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to say real quick is that we all know the foundation, everybody that's in this room that's been in bargaining, you know, the core, non-core work, and like I think Rich said, the incidental work. We know the history of that all that was to be offline type work in the big three. And unfortunately, in the last, 10 years, it's blossomed into this. Now we're picking off this work or this work. The big three are arguing with all these locals and whipsawing these locals, saying basically, if you want new product, you're going to have to agree to this other outsourcing. And that's where the presidents and the vice presidents should be standing up and demanding, no, you talk to us. You don't talk to them about whipsawing. That language in itself, the core, non-core, and the incidental work is what's going to have to be renegotiated. And we're going to have the answer. It might take the membership standing strong, you know, across all sectors and saying enough's enough. We might have to have that fight. We can't keep bleeding though.
Thank you. Time's up. Tim Bressler, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'd like to talk about the heavy truck sector. The heavy truck sector of our union is under President Curry's direction. And I just want to stress that President Curry came into a set of negotiations at Daimler Truck North America, and the bargaining committee stood strong, and second tier was eliminated. At Mack Truck, President Curry and his staff went in and we struck Mack Truck. Everybody's heard about these strikes. Mack Truck went down to eliminate the second tier. Volvo Truck North America, you all saw, they voted 2 or 3 times. Again, it was over to eliminate the second tier. So in the heavy truck sector of it, including Navistar, has all eliminated the second tier. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Boyer, you have 30 seconds of rebuttal time.
Okay, here's my rebuttal. With all due respect to you, Chuck, You guys took it was turned down twice, the agreement at John Deere, and the membership made you go back to the bargaining table. The second thing I want to say is that we all keep talking about tiers. We all keep talking about tiers. And just prior to the Constitutional Convention, the IEB board eliminated the tier system at the International Union and you put a separate pension for the people. That's what you did for yourselves. Now, come on, you guys. That's what you did for yourselves. What about the people we represent?
Time's up. Thank you. Normally, Mr. Browning, I'd give you time to respond on Deere, but several members, 4 members wrote in with questions for you on John Deere. So I'm going to pose that as my next question right now. Mr. Browning, we received 4 variations of this question from UAW members. This is one of those questions. While negotiating a tentative agreement for members of John Deere last fall, you were armed with a nearly unanimous strike authorization from the 10,000 plus members. How do you explain the disconnect between negotiators like yourself and the membership after bringing back an initial offer that was rejected by over 90% and offered only a 3% wage increase compared to the precedent-setting contract members struck for? Does that suggest that there is a disconnect between Solidarity House and the needs of the workers on the plant floor?
No, it doesn't. And that's an excellent question. I'm glad it was posed. The UAW negotiators at John Deere, which I led, consisted of UAW Region 4. It consisted of negotiators from the plant. In that first agreement that was voted down, we had achieved COLA. The first contract, there were 11% in pay raises. So a lot of the assumptions that were made were inaccurate. The majority of the gains that were in the last agreement appeared in the first agreement. In the second agreement, we increased the pay and we increased the funding of the cash balance plan that we had bargained in the first agreement to purchase healthcare. And then the last agreement that finally passed, we had addressed incentive program at Deere. The strike that was called at John Deere was requested by me and authorized by our international president, Ray Curry. And the agreement that was taken to the John Deere members that was originally voted down was done so because they wanted to fight. They wanted to get everything they could from that company. They wanted to strike for more. And there's many strategies in contract negotiations. I personally do not have an issue that members approve or vote down an agreement. That's their constitutional right. That's why it's a bargain. And what we did—
10 more seconds, please.
Yes, sir. What we decided to do when that contract was voted down was to call a strike and fight that company for more. And I'll tell you what, I have no issue with the process we went through because that is the best contract that's been bargained in decades. And I would do the same thing again to reach that agreement. My question to the other—
Thank you, Mr. Boyer. You have 45 seconds to respond.
To reach an agreement like that. There isn't one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Chuck, you done, Chuck? Okay, one of the things I'm going to say is that, you know, I've been out campaigning as well. And I've talked with a lot of members from Deere, and they have a different perspective on that whole deal. Their perspective was that you tried to shove the first 2 agreements down their throat, and they had to stay strong against you in order to get that agreement passed or to get you back to the bargaining table. Now, I can honestly say I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I will tell you what the perception of the members on that floor are when we were out campaigning.
Sharon, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. And I want to go along with Rick with that. Chuck, you must do better. Our members don't agree with what you're doing. Maybe you should have came down and met with those people to discuss what they need. One of the biggest problems, the leadership now, the current group, is not asking the members what they want. You're shoving things down their throat. You don't know what we need. I'm inside that plant. I have 47 years seniority. I've been to 4 different plants, 2 that closed that shouldn't have closed. Spring Hill, Tennessee is losing product. Texas is losing product. The administrative caucus don't know everything, and I'm not trying to pick on you guys, but don't brag about what you're doing because it needs to be better. And that's
Thank you.
the
Thank
bottom
you.
line.
Time's up. Chuck, 30 seconds rebuttal.
All that I've heard through this political process is people making commitments to do things they have never done. Good intentions do not get strong agreements. We bargained a contract with COLA, pensions, a solution for post-retirement health care. If somebody was posed a question, what they did to achieve agreements like that in the past 2 decades, they have no answer. They're attacking me by the process, but if you look at the end results, I stand by those results. And I want to replicate those results in the big three. And I'm the only one here that can actually say that they led a bargaining that achieved those items. And I'm the only one with experience on how we get those items in other contracts.
Thank
Contract was bargained to be replicated.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Next question from Mike Turner. Mr. Turner, in your campaign statements, you say, solidarity to me means that we are a family. It's time we stand together, not separated anymore. Together, we will bring back solidarity. Where exactly do you see a lack of solidarity in the UAW? And how would you bring back solidarity? How would you create solidarity between UAW auto plant and auto parts workers, UAW graduate students, UAW nurses, UAW casino workers?
Well, that's an excellent question. It kind of reverts back to what I mentioned in my opening statement. I see things a little broader. Solidarity, we are supposed to be a family united together. Unfortunately, we've had so much separation, not only to politics and stuff like that, but companies outsourcing work. But the format itself that we have allowed to be created is a membership that's not engaged and a leadership that expects the membership not to be engaged. Like I said before, members put resolutions in, whether it's bargaining resolutions or constitutional resolutions, and the process is simply those resolutions are ignored. And a group of people have to stand up and try to argue to get their resolutions heard, and both bargaining and the process of our convention. And that itself creates a separation. And I don't have any problem with any of these people up here that's from the administrative caucus, but their whole, their philosophy, I think they're locked into this last 30 years is it's them against the membership. The membership is supposed to be the foundation of this union. If the majority of the membership wants something, that should be honored or at least fought for. Now, as for bringing people together, I have ideas that are different than many other people. The biggest one, like in our Constitution, we can have 5 vice presidents. And there's nothing in writing in our Constitution saying the vice president is GM, Ford, or Chrysler. Technically, they're assigned by the president's office. What we need to have, hopefully next election, is 5 vice presidents and break it up by sectors. We need to have, auto manufacturing. We need to have agriculture. We need to have higher education, medical industry. How you break it all together in the numbers, I don't know, but we need to have specialized people in those fields.
Your time is up. 10 more seconds, please.
Well, to me, the foundations of things, the systems themselves are what we have to correct to establish a network for solidarity. The current systems in place are separating people, not bringing them together.
Thank you. Sharon, you have your hand up. 45 seconds.
Yes, I do. We need to have a mindset. The leadership, it doesn't matter about your experience. I have 47 years. Experience with dealing with companies, dealing with members, building relationships, understanding the UAW Foundation. We represent the union, and we are leaders to build a country, even our communities, our children. So many of you think that your experience is all you need. You need everything. I've been a mother. I've had to fight as a woman to be represented.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyer, 45 seconds.
Okay, I want to say this, guys. First of all, I think one of the questions that has to be asked, and I like what Mr. Letourneau said, is that do we have loyalty to a caucus or do we have loyalty to our membership? You notice Mike and I are on United Members United. We have not said that word more than one time. Our whole direction has been the loyalty to our membership. You guys have said the Ray Curry Administrative Caucus more than a half a dozen times. My thought is that we are supposed to be loyal to this membership, not a caucus. It's a membership. Understand it, gentlemen. And Chuck, as far as your negotiating skills, I've negotiated 4 local agreements in 2 different locations. I've been to 5 plants and started at the bottom and worked my way up every time. Because you know what it is? I care about my membership. You guys are out of touch. You've been out of the plants too long.
Thank you. Brian Zapp, 45 seconds.
Thank you. In response to the solidarity comment, I reflect back on the Constitutional Convention that was just completed. And I heard the words and they talked about discourse from higher ed. I would tell you that was democracy. Our diversity is what actually makes us stronger. I've been to multiple conventions. There was so much healthy debate there. We must recognize that all labor faces similar issues. It was the UAW that reached out and organized these higher ed members and brought them in. So solidarity comes from healthy debate. Discourse is healthy, and we had a fantastic convention with that great debate. Thank you.
Thank you. There's just not time to take responses from everybody if we're going to go around 2 rounds of questions. So forgive me. Mike Turner, 30 seconds of final response. You're on mute, Mike.
Just a closing statement.
Oh, there. Like I said, we have to build that solidarity from within, but I believe we have to change some processes. I'm not going to argue with Mr. Browning. I think everybody here that's been in the conventions will say this was the most democratic convention we've ever seen. But the process itself was still the memberships themselves with their resolutions, what they wanted. They had to fight against the administrative caucus to even have their resolutions discussed. That's what creates discourse. That system doesn't need to be there. The membership, the highest authority, their resolutions are what need to be discussed, not the agenda that the e-board can discuss. Like all their agendas is something they could take care of during a monthly e-board meeting.
Thank you. Time's up. Next question for Sharon Bell. Sharon, the UAW has just been through one of the worst corruption scandals in its history. 2 former presidents were sent to prison. 17 officials were convicted. Millions of dollars were mishandled and embezzled. What do you think the UAW and its executive board could have and should have done to prevent that scandal? And what do you think the UAW should do going forward in the future to prevent a major scandal like that from ever happening again?
I think that I know, not what I think. I think that I had to print this off because my other one is tore up. This is the Constitution, the UAW Constitution, and each one is our brother's keeper. So those members at the executive board should have spoke up, should have pulled someone aside and said, hey, we need to question this. And at the meeting, if I was sitting there, I would be asking questions and I would expect you to go by this Constitution. We have things in place in our Constitution if you learn it. I do know it. And learn the Constitution. So we all, as we spoke about the situation in the community of the UAW, we was wondering why the leadership didn't file charges should have been filed internally, if you want to know the truth. Because we never got to file internal charges. We just had to go by the government. And we're spending a lot of money. So we need to learn the Constitution. I know it. And I would have classes for people to know it. That is your Bible for your UAW. For corruption, you need to vote good leadership in, and we need to be accountable to our reports. And it's all in our Constitution, and we need to learn it.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Tim Bressler, you have 40 seconds to respond. You're muted, Tim.
The whole notion in the United States is you're innocent till proven guilty. The International Executive Board, when charges were levied against those nefarious people, they moved immediately and they expelled them from our union. The other piece is when you look at what has been done as far as reform, all the caps and all the packs have been moved from the outlying regions and brought into the accounting department. They are now scrutinized through a series of checks and balances. So checks can't be written out of them without going through a process. Black Lake, which we all know Cabin 4, Black Lake, their accounting system is now linked directly to Solidarity House Accounting Department, which takes, again, administrative approval in order to spend cash, to spend money. So there is things put in place, and the IEB did go after and remove them, nefarious people, from our union.
Tim, thanks. Your time is up. Mike Booth, you have 45 seconds.
Sure, Sharon, the question that I'm going to ask you is actually, it's not directed at you, but I will ask you the question. So Tim Bressler, when you said that there was under Holyfield, there was things that you've seen that were not appropriate. Chuck Browning, you moved to allow that Gary Jones be allowed the paid administrative leave. So now, did anybody, and I'm looking at the whole panel here, did anybody go down to the federal government in either the Office of Labor and Management Standards or the Office of Racketeering and Union Corruption? Did anybody there go to the federal government with this nefarious actions and report them? Because I did.
Okay, thank you, Mike Booth. So I should ask Chuck Browning, do you want to respond on behalf of the administration caucus? You're muted.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the question is posed. Do you want me to answer to?
Well, he's criticizing, the administration caucus for not coming forward. So I should ask one of you to respond, someone on your slate to respond.
Yeah, I mean, he brought up Gary Jones. I can respond to that and his leave of absence. Gary Jones announced to the International Executive Board his intents to take a leave. The leave that he notified us he was going to take was within board policy at that time. Board policy has changed since then, but he requested to take a leave. The rest of the International Executive Board was quite relieved. It had been quite a distraction. We're in the middle of Big Three negotiations. There were two issues to be decided at that point: to accept the leave, which was in the policy of the board at that time, and to replace him with a temporary president. Motion was made. I made that motion. The board took action, and Gary stepped aside from his position, and shortly thereafter was indicted and permanently removed, and the board elected a new president.
Thank you. Time's up. Sorry. Rich Boyer, 45 seconds, and then Tim.
This here is a copy of the monitor's report. It states specifically there's 19 open cases yet. My question is, do we know who that is? And how is that going to affect the IAB board when the investigation is done? Are we going to be running elections again if one of you gentlemen get in? How do we know? There's 19 more investigations. They say in here that you guys try to conceal some stuff coming out of another region. It's right in the monitor's report. We're not making it up. It's right here. So how do we know that you guys will be the guys representing this membership when it's all done? Because everybody says they didn't do anything until they're caught.
Tim Bressler, 45 seconds.
Yeah, I'd like to address Brother Brute's question. I went down and I met with federal prosecutors. I met with the FBI. I met with the Department of Labor 3 years before the first indictment was handed out. I have no idea why it took so long. Apparently, they're very slow and meticulous. But to answer your question, yeah, I absolutely sat in front of those people and had hours and hours and hours of conversation as to what I was subjected to. Thank you.
Chuck Browning.
Yeah, and just in response to the question Rich posed, everybody that's running for vice president has been vetted by the monitor. The monitor refers to the Department of Justice, and I've actually been vetted twice over the last 4 years to run for vice president a year and a half ago and to run for vice president again. That is very disingenuous to try and challenge somebody's integrity by leading people to believe that they have potential legal issues. Those are things you do when you're trying to distract from your lack of qualifications to do the job. 4 local negotiations, Rich, I'm sorry, are not the same as bargaining nationally for over 22 years.
Your time is up. Thank you. Sharon, you can conclude with a 30-second rebuttal.
First, the question was proposed by the members or the community. That question was given to me, to anyone that has a concern why I hit the table. Again, I'm gonna make it very clear. Read the Constitution. There's specific rules when there's corruption, and it was admitted corruption. The president had a responsibility, so did the IEB, and any member that knew enough to file Article 33. All of you know that I filed Article 33.
Your time is up, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay. A question from Mike Booth. Starting a new round. New question. Mr. Booth, labor union approval is at its highest level since 1965. This is a question from a member. 72% of young people approve of unions. Workers are organizing all over the country. Do you think the UAW should be doing more organizing? And what would you recommend to improve its organizing efforts? Also, has the UAW done some things that would discourage workers from joining the UAW? And does that concern you?
Thank you for that. First off, when we have the question about, do we have actions that would discourage people from joining the UAW? Absolutely. We have, and I can use names or I can use titles, 2 vice presidents of the UAW and 2 presidents of the UAW, along with a cast of characters of others. Why would people join a union when they can't clean themselves up? So now the other question, yes, for the most energetic group that I've seen out there right now is the higher education group. When you meet with them, they are they're the whoop whoop. We're trying to really enliven the UAW. That's 9A, and there's Brandon Mancilla, fantastic group out there. He's really sparked up a lot of interest within the UAW. All the other, there's hotel, retail, there's a lot of other opportunities for the UAW to grow into. So yes, we need to organize outside of that group, outside of the auto sectors. Thank you.
Any follow-up, or I'll go to the next question. Rich Letourneau, 45 seconds.
So I understand when you guys outsource work out of these small plants or big plants and you go into a neutrality agreement and you think you're adding members to the UAW, but you're really not. You're taking a $30 an hour job, taking it across the street for $10 an hour and stamping UAW on their head. That is not what the UAW is all about, nor as it ever has been. I don't know how you justify taking that work out. And neutrality means nothing if you can't get a wage. They can put a roof over somebody's head, pay for their insurance, pay for their bills, because that's not happening. And right now they can't get people to work at these facilities. It's a race to the bottom. And I said that when it happened the first time. Nobody's going to come to work at these wages, and they're not. They're not coming to our plant even as a temp. So something has to change. We focus too much on temporary workers instead of focusing on traditional workers and make everybody traditional, force the company to hire traditional workers. That's what needs to happen. Because guess what? If we still keep negotiating temps, they're always going to be temps. We start negotiating traditional wages, and act like we don't even acknowledge that agreement, they'll start forcing them. That's what they're doing right now in my plant. We're forcing them to hire outside the national agreement.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian Zapp, 45 seconds.
I made the comment in my opening statement about we are in an unprecedented time. That labor is experiencing a resurgence. The comment just now is the greatest resurgence since 1985 of labor approval. Since 2019, in the gaming sector, we've organized Treasure Island, Wynn, Encore. We've got first contracts with those locations, Caesars, Harrah's, Paris, Bally's, Wynn. We are in the midst of organized future transformation of the electric industry with Ultium in Lordstown, Ohio. We have an 80% card check, 80% card signature at this moment in time. We will be successful organizing Ultium, and we will be successful expanding this across. So that is something that I think needs to be recognized. It is not just jobs leaving and then stamping UAW on their head, which is quite insulting to say.
Thank you. Time's up. Sharon Bell, 45 seconds.
Yes, there seems to be a thought or a mindset that because contracts have been negotiated, the membership should just be happy. But that's not the way it goes. The leadership needs to be serving all UAW members. And in order for you to know what's going on, again, you need to come down and speak to them. And I am a legal, I'm a paralegal, and I do research. I have been campaigning and looking at gaming, IPS, and speaking to the cleanup people. And I've been looking at cases that they filed at the National Labor Board and different industries regarding our union and how they've been served. Now you need to start listening to the membership, whether you get
10 more
elected
seconds,
or
please.
not. Yeah, whether you get elected or not, start listening. Whether I get elected or not, listen to the membership. I need good benefits. My members need good benefits. I will fight for them.
Chuck Browning, 45 seconds.
Yeah, just briefly, in response to Rich Letourneau's remarks, I also believe that people should be directly hired, and as a result, we just reached an agreement with Ford Motor Company where they converted all of our temporary employees to full-time employees and gave them day one health care. Right now, Ford Motor Company has less than 1%, actually closer to 0.5% of temps compared to the full-time workforce.
Mike Booth, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yep. Actually, speaking back to Rich's question, doesn't everybody deserve a living wage? This isn't a race to the bottom. This is a race to bring other people up. As work's outsourced, that's something that the auto sector has to combat and bring stuff in-source. And then we have to bring the wages up, not take away from us. So that's we're not on a race to the bottom. We're bringing people up to us. Thank you.
Thank you. A question for Rich Letourneau. Ms. Letourneau, in your campaign statements, you say for the last 15 years in the automotive business, we've watched our indirect labor jobs, great jobs, be given to a third party. Why? Because both the current UAW administration and the corporations have agreed that these jobs are much easier and don't warrant a traditional wage when compared to a member humping the assembly line. Why do you think so many automotive jobs have been given to a third party? How has that affected the UAW and its members? And how would you go about stopping this from happening? Indeed, how would you seek to reverse this trend?
So can you hear me all right?
Yes.
I can explain how it happened to us. Under document 60 of the national agreement and under the Camaro agreement that was negotiated in 2012 that nobody's seen. Document 60 came out of the 2015 national agreement. They started building a building across the street of my plant, but they already did it in 97 all over the country. It took sequencing and scheduling out of all these plants. We stopped it in 1997, and we've stopped it for years in this plant to protect our indirect labor jobs. But I was told, because Brian Zapp was there, because I met with him over it. I said, where is this work going and why? They were in denial for 2 years. Finally, I was told that the work is going across the street and we had to do it so GM could maintain profits. We never had profit sharing for 30 years. I would forfeit my profit sharing to get people $30 an hour, $35 an hour, like the rest of traditional people have. But that ain't what happened. This work started trickling out from plant to plant, not just here, but it's going to happen in IPS. It's going to happen in the TOP. It's going to happen in education, any place that they can take an indirect labor job out that's easier than somebody else's, they're going to take it. They're going to take it from us. So our people are going to die on the vine. They'll never retire out of that plant because they'll come out on disability. They will work until they die in the assembly line. That's what's going to happen if we have no sub-assembly jobs, retirement jobs for our people to coast into their last 5 or 10 years before they retire. That's what's going to happen. It's happening now. And these indirect labor jobs belong to us. They're just as important as any other job on that assembly line. But there's some people that view that different. And they're assigned documents. And I'm not putting them up because I don't campaign that way. I'm not going to campaign on my merits, not what anybody else has done. But I am telling you, those documents were signed. I can post.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Brian Zapp, you have 45 seconds.
The first responsibility of the International Union is to protect employment, grow jobs, secure investment, and that causes change in our assembly and our manufacturing facilities. Companies are always re-engineering. We must be mindful, we must evolve or die, and I will not let us die. We have a long-standing battle with General Motors about trucks being built in Mexico. Brother Letourneau talks about these other things. What he doesn't talk about is the $5 billion investment into these truck facilities that brought General Motors' highest volume truck, the 4-door crew cab, from Mexico into Fort Wayne, where they now work so much overtime that he himself published a letter chastising his membership for not wanting to work Sundays. They have so much work in that facility that they can't produce enough vehicles. So, and oh, by the way, Brother Letourneau, you were provided the 2012 document in October of 2018. You said you didn't receive it. That came just after the subcouncil when we first came into office.
Thank you. Sharon Bell, you have 45 seconds.
Plain and simple, plain and simple. The workers need to be treated right. The work in the plants are hard. That's not all the work that we have to do. You need to pay, get these folks paid. You do MOUs, joint programs, attachment K and GM to help the company. The Constitution is very plain that you should be increasing wages. I don't care what their problems are. We're going to demand an increase in wages, pensions, healthcare, cost of living, and that's the bottom line with me.
Thank you. Rich Letourneau, 30 seconds rebuttal, then we'll move to the next person.
To what Brian said, the that Camaro agreement, he's 100% right. It was rolled out to us. That was after the national agreement was ratified. Then it got rolled out to our membership, along with document 60. Nobody saw it during the rollout meetings, but it was rolled out to us after the national agreement was already ratified. That's when we all saw it around the whole country. If you don't believe me, just talk to all the chairmen around the whole country because they were all there.
Thank you. A question for Brian Zapp. This is a question sent in by a UAW member. During the 6 national agreements you have helped bargain with GM since 2000, the company has gone from roughly 150,000 active UAW hourly workers down to about 42,000 active workers today. This is a steep decline of job loss and membership. We've also seen the introduction of GM subsystems and numerous other 2-tier positions replacing what was once Tier 1 legacy work. We've seen a loss of COLA and pensions, among other things. Now the member's question, what exactly do you plan to do differently if you are elected as a vice president from what you have already done as a top assistant to the vice president?
Who's that question to?
First of all, yes, since I've been on since the year 2000, there have been 6 national agreements. And since that time, this company, General Motors, went through a bankruptcy. Nobody wants to hear that anymore. That's old news. It was 14 years ago. Unfortunately, it's reality. And General Motors systematically wound down operations as quickly as they could. They do what they always do. When it's time of trouble for them, they come to us for help. When it's time that they're doing well, they please don't take us backwards. So here's what I intend to do if I'm fortunate enough to be elected vice president. I said in my opening statement, I've repeated it a couple of times here, we are now in an unprecedented time in labor in this country. I outlined clearly in the beginning, I believe membership needs significant wage increases. They need cost of living protections. They need retirement security. They need equal pay and equal work. They need all of those items. So those things will be top of mind for us when we enter 2023 bargaining. You heard Vice President Browning talk about over in John Deere, how they already achieved some of this growth, that they already got these significant wage increases and cost of living. It is our intention to pursue those things as well as the other items that the membership will submit through the resolution process, which is about to begin this fall. So the question about the two-tier, we already eliminated two-tier. I already referenced that as well in one of my answers. In the General Motors agreement, there is no two-tier. Everyone hired prior to the 2019 agreement, when I was top administrative assistant, will be at top rate by conclusion of this agreement. So two-tier is already eliminated. So, thank you.
Thank you. Rich Boyer, you have your hand up, 45 seconds, please.
Yes, I understand what he's saying, and I got some thoughts on that. But one thing I want to ask you is, why didn't we do anything in 2015 and 19 when the companies were profitable? Why didn't we get COLA back then? Why didn't we get the job bank back then? Why didn't we give pay increases or pension increases to the retirees? You know, and Chuck, to your comment about 3 local agreements, actually it was 4 local agreements at 2 different locations. And to be quite frank with you, the way some of the negotiations you guys have handled over the years, I don't think you have much more experience than I do.
Thanks. Tim Bressler, 45 seconds. Mike Booth, sorry, Mike Booth. Sorry, Mike Booth. My bad.
Yeah, I think the question is more about the outsourcing. So that's, let's look at Spring Hill, Tennessee, the GM Spring Hill facility. They just had the dust up about bringing the GM LLC employees in to replace legacy workers, if you want to call them that. So that's the problem that we're having with our contracts. You have people coming in, you're whipsawing against member within the same facility. That's so this is making it sound like we're trying to justify that you know, we've been bad to the membership, but it's okay because the 19 it got fixed. It's I'm not getting it. Thank you.
Okay, Sharon, you have 45 seconds to respond.
Thank you. The resolutions that was just talked about, I think that was by Tim or was that Brian? Either way, Brian, the resolutions don't hit the international union if the local unions don't turn them in. So I know that's politics. Everything is politics. So the reason we need good leaders at the table, for me, I will let my members know, and I've already told them, contact me if the problem don't get to us. They need their resolutions at the table, and you made commitment just now that and you agree with all of us that are fighting for increased wages, that you're gonna do better. Well, I can't wait. I can't believe that. And we're gonna have to do some changes at the top. That is what I want. Changes at the top.
Rich Latorno, 45 seconds.
In rebuttal to Brian Zapp's comment about the Sunday, we are currently the only GM facility that's not on a mandatory 6-day-a-week schedule. We're under Plan A of the national agreement, which was 2 out of 3 Saturdays. The rest of the assembly plants are mandated 6 to 7 days a week. My comment in April of 2018 was this volume belongs to us. If we don't build it, they're going to find somebody else that will. And they did. 2 years later, they opened up Oshawa, Canada. That was a warning to my membership to protect their volume. And too many plants don't protect their own product. That truck belongs to me and my membership. It don't belong to GM. That's our truck. And it has been for 38 years. And it still is. If we want to give it away, that's the argument. But we're not going to let that happen. But I'm not going to force this membership to work 6 days a week like the rest of the country is doing, or 7 days a week. That was a one-time makeup that we wanted to make up these these trucks before it got outsourced.
Thank you.
And any good leader does that.
Thank you. Brian Zapp, 30 seconds, quote, rebuttal time, unquote.
Finally, Brother Letourneau and I agree. We are not going to lose that truck. I assure you of that. Brother Booth, you said that our leadership or our agreements are failing because we had LLC members doing traditional work and therefore were whipsawing. When that occurred, we immediately intervened and we got them out, and they were out. We are in the process of organizing that activity as well. So those 2 points must be made. The next thing, in 2019, national bargaining, the #1 issue submitted by the body was to fix the temporaries. We had temporaries that were out there making, or had been temps for 3, 4, 5 years. We corrected that. We put a path in place for them to reach seniority, and they are doing that to the tune of almost 7,000 people to date.
Thank you. Time is up. So we went through one full round of questions for each of the 8 of you. That took 55 minutes. If we did another one and then took closing statements from each of you, we'll be going past 8 o'clock. So I'm going to ask 2 questions. We'll spend 5 minutes on each question. You could raise your hands in response. I'm just giving them to everyone to answer, and then we'll go to closing statements. One question. Some female UAW members have sent in questions about what the union should do to better protect women against sexual harassment and other improper behavior. These members ask, what more can and should the UAW do to assure that women have an adequate voice within the union and are treated fairly both in the union and in the workplace? Sharon, you raised your hand.
Yes, I did. I raised it first, and I want to speak on that right now. First of all, it's 3 spots here. And you need to elect a woman at the top to be engaged with all of you to give a woman's perspective as well as everyone. It's time to place the women in place because they have a lot of problems. And in order to solve them, you need people that are a part of the situation. Now, I'm asking all the members, it is very selfish for us to have 3 leadership spots on the International Executive Board, and you can't let one person be there. I was nominated by Stephanie Riley, who saw enough in my credentials, which I do have, to ask me to nominate me. Now, you can't get another woman, so you need to nominate me. Because we need to sit at the table. And I'm the only one left.
Thank you.
And I do have credentials.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Mike Booth, 45 seconds.
Yeah, actually, Members United Slate has a female on the on our caucus, which is Margaret Mock. She's running for Secretary Treasurer. The women's voice, to have a woman in power, shouldn't be, no male should be threatened by a female, because we're the United Automobile Workers, we're the UAW. We have the ability to put somebody in power that we shouldn't be afraid of. No man should be afraid of a female. No white should be afraid of a black. We're all in this together, we're united. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Bressler.
Yes, that's a really good question. And obviously there's been some things happen to our sisters that are unacceptable. The current board went out and brought in an independent ethics ombudsman with a 1-800 number that is totally 100% independent of the union. And all complaints that go through the ethics hotline are investigated by a third party independent. If sexual harassment or any other actions occur, then this is an avenue that has been created so that there is an avenue for women that are being sexually harassed, abused, or treated wrong on the shop floor. So the board has been proactive, and this is an avenue that up until recently never existed. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Letourneau, 45 seconds.
Maybe I misunderstood the question, but wasn't the question related to females in the workplace, not in the leadership, or did I miss that? Was that question?
It was about both within the union and in the workplace, and how to give women a stronger voice overall within the union.
Okay, our executive board has got a lot of women on it, and they're very strong. So the opportunities there, we got a woman president, so we embrace that. However, most master agreements, GM, Ford, Chrysler, and all the IPS plants I've represented have a document that relates to sexual harassment or harassment in the workplace. Document 99s in GM. And believe me, you can't even look at somebody cross-eyed without getting fired anymore. So trust me when I tell you, they abuse that language and they run it to the hilt. So we respect women in the workplace. We respect the term chairperson, and we use the term chairperson all the time in my local. So we're already there, and I feel real comfortable about our leadership and how we treat the women in this plant, how we treat our elected officials, female, minorities, male. We have a real diverse executive board and leadership currently.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to one last question before we.
Do I get to read
Sharon, you had your opportunity. I'm
Okay, thank
Hold
you.
on, Steve, but I didn't get a chance.
Sorry, it's getting very late, sir. We're going to go past 7 o'clock easily. Another question for anyone to respond to. This is from a UAW member. Retirees created the foundation that our union rests upon. As someone with expensive, as all of you with extensive bargaining experience, how would you prioritize the needs of retirees if you're elected vice president? And how are you seeking negotiations to protect and improve the pensions and other benefits that UAW retirees receive? Rich, do you have your hand up on that, Rich Boyer?
I do.
Okay, you can go first.
Okay, Steve, I agree with you that the retirees are the foundation of this union. And I also believe that they've been left behind since, I believe the last time they got a pension increase was in 2007. I think that's because of the cost of living. And I wonder sometimes how they even can survive. I think that it has to be a top priority at the bargaining table. I think that, the retirees are the first ones we call on whenever we want to march to Washington or whenever we want to protest anywhere. If we don't take care of the retirees, then who can we take care of?
Thank you. Chuck Browning, 45 seconds.
Yeah, I would just like to make the comment that is one topic that I would venture to believe that we all agree on. The UAW is very proud and has a proud history of bargaining on behalf of retirees. Other national unions don't do that. So they bargain for you, you retire, and it goes away. And I'm proud of our heritage, and I'm proud of all of our members, and not to speak for the other candidates, but I would say that it's a goal for everybody that's running for this position to take care of our retirees, address cost of living issues, and try and get more money in their retirement.
Thank you. Mike Turner, 45 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, our retirees did build our union. They are our foundation. And I'll be the guy that says it. Everybody here that has bargaining experience understands that legally under labor law, retirees are not mandatory bargaining. The employer can sit back and say, hey, we're not even going to discuss it. I think we all understand that. And sometimes the general membership doesn't understand that. But we had a lot of decades that no matter what, the UAW was still able to do something. It might have took some special means to bargain, but they were able to achieve some little elements of it. And they have, the retirees, I mean, I know many of them, they feel like they have been left behind. We have to get constructive and do better for them. That's all.
Thank you. Brian Zapp, 45 seconds.
Yeah, again, we all agree on this topic that the retirees built this union. They are the shoulders on which we stand. I said in the beginning, my father worked 46 years. He retired in 1997, and until his death in 2018 was proud to be a UAW retiree. However, this is much bigger than bargaining. And anyone that says that it's only a bargain solution either doesn't understand or they're just pandering for votes. This is also key to stay active and be pivotal in the legislative process. The voices that they carry and that we carry are key in Washington and in the state capitals. Our community action programs must stay active. We always we count on the retirees to stay active. We must work with them to strengthen Social Security and Medicare as well, both bargaining and legislative. That is how we must fix this issue for our retirees, for which we do all owe so very much. Thank you.
Mike Booth, 45 seconds.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of people that are going to take issue with what's been said here. The Administrative Caucus, they not only disallowed they disallowed the retirees to run for office. They also sent an opinion into the monitor's office that it was that the retirees shouldn't even be able to vote in this. So that's it's actually, you can say that, yeah, we're all for the retirees, but the Administrative Caucus has already spoken on this. They said that the retirees should be silenced. It's wrong.
Anyone for the Administration Caucus? Thank you. Anyone for the Administration Caucus want to respond very quickly? You don't have to. Okay, we're going to go to closing statements, and we will have the same order as the introductory statements. Rich Latorno, you go first. You have up to 3 minutes.
In closing, I'd like to thank everybody that joined us today. It was good, healthy discussion. I think our viewers have a good idea of where we are and what our objectives are. In closing, again, job security has been my main focus in my entire career, and my plant reflects that. We kept working this plant. We've never had any permanent layoffs. We've done innovative negotiations for years. Collective bargaining is the foundation of our organization. You know, we were one of the first locals to sit across the bargaining table in 1996 with laptops and floppy disks, if you remember that. We hand the company a floppy disk across the table, electronic version of their agreement and our agreement. They never seen that before. Innovative negotiations, being able to cost things out is how we beat these guys. And that's how we beat them in 1997. And that's how we continue to beat them. You do the math, you do the language, you make a business case, and you keep the work in-house. We're going to continue to do that as a local. Whether I win this vice president job or not, I'm going to bring that to this membership. I'm going to teach them, communicate with them, how to negotiate in your own facilities, how to keep work that belongs to you and not give it away. And I don't believe that anybody in the International Executive Board should have the right to give our work without discussing it with us. If it happens, we understand it. I'm not that naive that I don't know that as decisions are made, that sometimes you have to take work out of a facility. But explain that to the membership. Transparency is everything. We have to work on our communications because we have lost that somewhere. You know, and everybody realizes we're out for 40 days. You know, nobody wants to be out for 40 days until you know the real justice of why we were out. And I don't believe that our membership's getting a fair shake on that. And I want to be that guy that makes that difference. I'm a pretty approachable guy, and I'm not afraid to talk to people. And I can open doors sometimes with just personality. And anybody that's in collective bargaining knows that you sit down and talk for a little while. You don't come in and screaming demands, shaking baseball bats and 2x4s. Innovative negotiations beats these guys. And if you got personality to do it, we all should use that first and foremost. But I believe that if I get the opportunity, I will show this membership what it is to sit down and talk with the people, communicate with them, let them know what the issues are, let them know what our position is and why we have it. And I believe that that's what it's going to take for the one man, one vote, for people to realize that they don't have to vote how they're told. I mean, the convention was a perfect example. We voted for $500 for the strike pay. The same delegates turned around the next day, only because somebody coaxed them, obviously, but they voted against it. But me and my delegates stuck by the conviction. You look like a crappie when you're flip-flopping back and forth on those kind of issues. We stuck by our convictions, but those are the things. This entire membership, if you want change, you got to stick by your convictions as well. That was a perfect example of us not sticking by our convictions. We voted for $500. Within 24 hours, we voted for $400. But I'm glad to say me and my delegates did not.
Thank you very much. Tim Bressler, your concluding statement.
Thank you. Brothers and sisters, we are at a moment in time. Corporations are making millions and millions and millions of dollars of profit, billions of dollars off our members' backs. We're seeing strikes like never before. Record wage increases. Healthcare costs haven't been brought up, that have stopped. No cost shifting. This is what your current International Executive Board is doing in organizing. Region 1 had a card check recognition with 100%. It's unheard of. Ultium in Region 2B, 80% card check. Thousands and thousands of workers in higher education have opted to join the United Auto Workers. Despite what's being said, this union is growing and moving forward. One thing I absolutely want to point out, the Curry team has 3 women on it. Laura Dickerson, Beverly Brakeman, and Lauren Farrell. It's insulting to hear that because they're not running for an officer position, somehow their value is being diminished. And Brother Rich, you're right, you haven't said UAWD, but let me tell you something, that sticker on your shirt speaks volumes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Booth, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. First, we need to come together as members. When we're divided, we're begging instead of bargaining. So in closing, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. This forum is for the education of the members, you and me. Also, thank you to Stephen Greenhouse and the federal monitors appointed, the appointed UAW Monitor's Office, I'm sorry. We have to talk about the past and the corruption, the present and the substandard contracts. Now let's look at our future. We have to be prepared. We have to be smart on how we proceed for the membership. We need to secure meaningful contracts, return COLA, which is an inflation fighting benefit, secure equal pay for equal work and eliminate tiers, organize for the future and care about our membership. This includes the retirees. Retirees fought for the rights and privileges we enjoy today. They're a vast wealth of knowledge. Let's embrace them. For our current leadership to have the opinion that retirees must be silent is criminal itself. We must secure not only electric vehicles and batteries, we need to be a powerful union to organize all emerging technologies. As the membership of this great union called the UAW, we must demand that the members come first. We cannot have the status quo nor expect the people who created the problems to fix the problems. I'm running alongside the Members United to enact positive change. We can be found at the website uawmembers.org. This diverse group of women and men, Black, white, Latino, will vote for the needs of the membership. Only a battle-tested new leaders can turn this union around. The International Executive Board is run by a majority vote. Collectively, Members United will vote for the best interest of the membership. In closing, I'm not a politician. I'm a union rep. I will not smile to your face and tell you what you want to hear. I'm dedicated to working on the issues at hand. We can do this over a cup of coffee or in a conference hall, but we must have the conversations. I'm proud to be a union member. Thank you. I'm Mike Booth, candidate for International UAW Vice President.
Thank you. Rich Boyer, your closing statement, please.
Sure. I'd like to start by telling everybody thanks for coming out. Great debate. Administrative caucus, all the candidates, good debate. I enjoyed the debate. One thing I want everybody to remember is that this is about the membership. Everything we do is supposed to be about the membership. The administrative caucus, Chuck specifically, you made a comment about bargaining. Well, you guys do have some bargaining experience, but my thought would be that you have to accept the concessionary contracts that you took prior. You've got to own them as well. We can't just talk about the ones that you've done since then. We've got to talk about everything that happened in the past and how do we go forward from there. We got to worry about sourcing. I'm in a big agreement with Rich Returnal. Sourcing is a big issue. Job security is a big issue. I understand we got to get wage increases. I understand we need COLA. I understand that these are all top items. But if we don't get some job security coming out of 2023, by 2026, I don't know what's going to be left. Now, I love this membership. I love this union. And I've been a member for 37 years. And it breaks my heart to see some of the things that have been going on. When I go to some of these plants and I listen to some of the things said by some of these young people, and you try to talk to them about getting active and why they're not active, and they have no, I hate to say it, guys, but they think the administrative caucus is a bunch of liars, crooks, and thieves. That's what they say. I mean, it's a bad thing. We got to somehow turn that around. After this election's over, we have to come together and do what's best for the people. It's not about anybody here. None of us here are more important than the membership. Somebody once said to me, Rich, you got to protect the institution. My question to you is the institution the Solidarity House, or is the institution the membership? My position is it's the membership. The institution is the membership. And that's what I believe wholeheartedly. I also think that we do have a diverse group on Members United. We come from all over the place. Gentlemen, you guys haven't been on that shop floor working in years and years and years. I'm on that shop floor every day, as a lot of the other candidates are, except for the 3 fellas that are in the administrative caucus. We hit that floor every day. We deal with the membership every day. We deal with people that have every kind of issues. We're still preachers. We're still lawyers. We're still confidants. We do it all. You guys, you haven't done that in years. You're out of touch. You're really out of touch. And I'm going to tell you, the membership, if you want change and you want to make things better, then you need to look at other candidates, because if you stay the same way, you're not going to get anything other than what we've had for the last 20 years. Thanks.
Thank you. Brian Zapp, your closing statement.
First, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that took the time to view this important process, and for those of you who will be watching it as it's been recorded. Over the past 2 hours, everyone's heard numerous positions, response to questions, discussion, debate, and quite frankly, sometimes it was heated, sometimes it was very passionate, but it should be, because this is very serious business and it requires very serious people with very serious background to accomplish it. The men and women of the UAW, their families, they're all depending on us. I've explained my qualifications and experience. I've explained I have 37 years as a UAW member. I've explained that I was a local chairperson. I've done multiple agreements. I've been on the international staff, done multiple national agreements, and as top administrative assistant, national agreements, and done multiple sectors. We listen very, very closely to the needs of our members. Since holding this position, not one of our agreements has been turned down. The way you do that is to listen very closely to the membership.
Brian, I think you froze. So because Brian is frozen, I guess we'll move on to the next person. Sorry. Sharon Bell, you're next for your closing statement.
Okay, I want to say thank you to everyone that listened. I want to respect each and every one on this panel. We all had our own views and I had mine. I'm not angry with anyone, nor I'm not critical of what you're doing. I'm simply telling you that the people I work with down on the shop floor every day, I'm bringing their message to you, and this is what they asked me to do. Let you know that we want better wages. We really demand it. We want health care for all. We want pensions for all. That's what they told me to let you know. And I have to do that. But overall, each of us are members of this great union, all of you. If I'm elected, I will work with each of you. I will speak my mind on what is right. And as far as my experience, I have worked at 4 different plants, as I said. Also, I have a paralegal degree. I'm a legalist. I know a lot about the law. I don't advise people in the law, but I understand it. I understand contracts. I understand the elements of a contract and the requirements. I understand the National Labor Board. I understand the policies and procedures. I understand employment law. I have a master's degree in healthcare administration. Some of you may not think education is important, but we represent the education community. The IPS, told me to let you know that we need to represent them. They want good contracts. We've lowered the standard for our auto workers' pay, making $16 an hour, 17. We're allowing the company to use us. And I have to let you know that they're looking for me to tell you whether I get elected or not. Most importantly, why is it that a woman can't be at the executive board? I heard what you said. We have women running, and the administrative caucus has women, but I'm talking about at the very top. And I represent every element. I'm an older worker. I have 47 years. I'm an older worker. The president in the administrative caucus disenfranchised 580,000 retirees. They cannot run. Brother Copley, Brother John Gannan, and Leroy McKnight was told they could not run. And I was on the caucus of working for a living.
Please wrap up, 10 seconds.
Yeah, so we all should have a right in this great union. I have no problem with you all, but I need you to know I'm looking for higher wages. I am looking for better health care for all of us, and I'm looking for cost of living, and you can do it. And don't judge my credentials, because I've been on every standing committee. I've been the election chair. Some of the members don't know that, but I have very strong credentials.
Thank you very much, Sharon Bell. Thank you so much. Chuck Browning, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. I would just like to point out that over the next 4 years, we're going into a time with great opportunity for economic gain. I've been in the UAW for 35 years. Every once in a while, we get a window where everything comes together, and working collectively, the union has an opportunity to make great impact on our members' lives. Simultaneous to the great opportunity for economic gain for our members is a major transition to a new technology. Many argue that it's the biggest challenge to the auto industry, not only for workers in the industry, but customers that the industry's seen since its inception. Everybody that's running for this position, I commend for their caring of the UAW. I think everybody that's running sincerely wants to take advantage of these opportunities and achieve better for our members. But at the end of the day, the reality is who is most equipped to take advantage of the window of opportunity for economics and to secure work for the future for our members. Everybody has said their piece, even though one person, one vote is new for international jobs. Our membership understands politics. They watch elections every 3 years in the local unions. I've participated in those for many years. They understand the politics. What I ask of the members is to study each candidate, study the slates, study what people stand for, and make a determination based on fact on what the best road is for moving into the future and seizing the opportunity, and who can best do that for you. I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you, Steve. You did a great job. You got a pretty tough crew between all of us. But I'd like to very humbly ask the members to support my candidacy for vice president, and also Brian and Tim, Ray Curry, Frank Stuglin for the officer positions, and the great directors that are our candidates within the Curry Solidarity team as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So Brian Zapp, you froze. Welcome back. We'll give you your final minute during which you froze.
Thank you, and my apologies to everyone. I don't know where I got lost, but just to continue, I outlined my vision for bargaining, not just for auto, but for all sectors: pay, healthcare, cost of living protections, equal pay, equal work, and retirement with dignity. I dispelled the false allegations that were levied against me. We made sure, as the administrative Curry caucus, to talk about fact, to talk about plan, talk about vision. I heard a lot of rhetoric, promises, and repeated tired accusations from the other side. I'm running for vice president because we're at a unique moment in labor history. Our experience on the Curry team speaks for itself. Multi-sector bargaining experience. I urge you to talk to all your fellow UAW members. Share this broadcast. Voter turnout will define our collective future. It begins October 17th. We are eager to act on your behalf, and I sincerely and respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Turner, your closing statement.
Yes. I'll start by thanking everyone too. The membership that comes on here now that has been watching this, and the members that'll see it in the future. I still believe that, to me, the key to moving forward for us as a union is not repeating the past, but actually searching out for positives that we can reform to bring back solidarity to our union. I think to rebuild the faith and the trust within the membership, that is the first thing that needs to happen. We've had some healthy discussions. I understand that around bargaining and certain issues, but to me, those are all kind of elements of the broader picture, is that the culture itself of our union is what the membership expects to rise to a more professional level. We understand that bargaining is the heart. As others have said, we have to approach bargaining very smart. We have the right to cost everything when it comes to whatever employer we're bargaining with. We have the right to request that and approach that in a very intelligent way on what we can achieve and what we can't achieve. That's an element, but we also have to enforce that bargain agreement, and that's our grievance process. And I can't speak for every local, but I think we know within the big three, the grievance process has been broken, and no one's doing anything to fix it. It's those two elements that work in hand that actually create the environment, our day-to-day work life. But the culture itself is what we have to work on to do better at. We have to listen to the membership. And I'm not going to say anything about, some statements that, well, I've done this, I can do that, I can do. The bottom line, like I've said before, the membership, they're the body of this union. It's them. They are the highest authority. So if we have systems in place where we actually don't even discuss what they want to talk about when it comes to contracts, we don't even listen and review their resolutions they put in, how can we sit back and say that we're honoring that and having discussions with the membership? We're not. That's the format. I'm not trying to argue, but that's the fact. We just have to do better at that. We have to fix that culture if we expect to have that oneness back with the membership. We can't have a divided, we're the leadership. We know what we're doing. Trust us, we've been doing it for a long time. Here's an agreement. Well, we didn't listen to your resolutions that you wanted, but this is the best we could get. Beyond that, we do have to breach out, in my opinion, the working class, unionize in America. We're going to have to kind of breach out, reach across the aisle to others. We're going to have to stand together. The UAW, we used to set the standard for a lot of things. We don't anymore, unfortunately. So in closing, though, I thank everybody. Thank you for watching this, all the members, and like I said, that'll see it in the future. And I respect the conversations we've had today. I think they were healthy. So thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. I thank all of you. I thank all of you for stepping forward and being willing to explain your positions to the membership. I'm sorry I didn't have more time to grill all of you. I thank all the viewers who are watching this, who showed interest in what the candidates have to say and who show interest in the future of your union. I thank the Monitor, and I thank the UAW for sponsoring this forum. And everyone, don't forget, on Thursday, there will be a forum from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the 5 presidential candidates. And thank everyone, and good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
And the last thank you is to you, Steve. Thank you for your great work tonight. And thanks to all the candidates. Take care.
Thanks.
Good night, brother.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night. Mhm.
Good night.